Warmer weather and it's game week for Purdue baseball. Kyle Charters here for This Week in Purdue Baseball, along with the head coach Greg Goff and sports information director Ben Turner. Believe it or not, it's here. We're excited to play. Warm weather up here in West Lafayette, and we're hoping for warmer weather when we head down to Sugar Land in a couple of days to kick this season off.
No doubt, Kyle. I'll tell you what, we're so excited and fired up. We've had some great weather here. This may have been the best spring in late January, early February since I've been here. So we've taken advantage of it. We've had an opportunity to go over to Lowe Stadium. John Miner and those guys have been really grateful for us to come, have an opportunity to go over there and get outside some. So we're excited, but we're looking forward to getting down to Sugar Land.
There have been a lot of preseasons where you guys have practiced maybe once. Maybe not at all before you go south, and maybe get a practice or two in before playing that opener. How big of an advantage will it be that you've been outside a handful or more times already this spring?
That's right. And especially, with the outfielders, with the depth perception and it's hard to hit him in Mullencoff a lot of times. So we've been outside and give our guys an opportunity, and I just think it's been really a huge blessing for us so far, and hopefully we can take advantage of that and go down and play well in Texas.
First three weekends set up very similar as last year, including a season opening 4-game set in Sugar Land at a AAA ballpark, Astros AAA. You swept the series last year as part of that historic 15-0 start. So there has to be a comfort level at this stadium in year two.
It is, Ben, and that's really why we did it. As I started looking around the country, trying to find a place we can go, just to have some continuity, with our program. So every year we know now we're going to go to Sugar Land. We signed a multi-year contract with them to be able to lock in that place, stay in the same hotel. Baseball is a game of repetition a lot of times, and I want our guys to get comfortable, know where we're going, who we're going to be with, the hotel we're staying at, and so kind of like spring training for the professionals, and looking forward to an opportunity because they were so, they were an amazing host down there last year for us.
And always fun to play in a pro ballpark, minor league, major league, whatever it is, independent ball, so that's always cool for the guys. Last year in that 4-game sweep against South Dakota State, 44 pitching strikeouts, 17 stolen bases over 4 games. Well, what did you end up breaking records for last year? Strikeouts and stolen bases. So great start there, especially early in the season as guys are getting their feet underneath them, talking about playing outside, maybe not practicing a bunch outside, although this year you've been fortunate. Those two things sometimes, maybe where you can kind of dominate a game early or maybe expose a team that hasn't been outside a little bit.
It is true, and the opportunity, I think our pitchers are in a really good spot. I know they dominated us this weekend out here, and as a coach, to see our pitching staff continue to develop and things like that makes me sleep a lot better at night. And and our offense is, what I tell our team all the time is that we can score anytime, with the base running aspect of it, and just thinking in twos and being able to kind of use our athleticism on the field. Hopefully, we can bring some pressure to Holy Cross this weekend.
You've got a veteran team coming back with mixed in some newcomers, obviously, as well, but a lot of names that we know. We'll talk to one of them on the show today, Steve Ramirez, the veteran catcher, but Mike Bolton, Evan Albrecht, Cam Thompson, and others. You'll lean a lot on those veteran guys as you work in some of the newcomers, right?
We will, Kyle. We got 7 of the 9 returners back offensively. Yeah. And as you know, it takes some time to learn our system and what we're trying to do, and just building that aggressiveness, to eliminate that doubt and fear, and give those guys an opportunity to kind of trust their instincts and let them play. And so having those guys back are really, really important, and just really looking forward to hopefully, again, trying to get off to a good start. But as you know, it starts with pitching and defense. Offensively, I feel pretty good about things. But it's always going to boil down. If we're going to win a championship here at Purdue, it's going to boil down on those guys on the mound and how we play defense behind them.
Evan Albrecht, certainly a huge part of what you do defensively at shortstop. I mean, his breakout season began in Sugar Land last year. He goes from not starting the season opener to leading the team in batting average with Purdue's best average since 2009. Like, remarkable that all came together for him the way it did. Yeah. He also had 22 stolen bases. Right. He and Mike Bolton team up for 50. Now, you did lose Curtis Washington Jr. to pro ball, which was not a huge surprise. Yeah. But Cooper Kornblum now, another speedy outfielder, you've imported him, could be kind of the new Curtis type of, to give you the three-headed monster as far as his base running goes?
That's right. We're excited about having Coop. We love Curtis, and what a great year he had. And what an opportunity he had to sign and play professional. That's why he came here. But with his loss, we gained some other guys, and having Coop in the lineup, again, you can't put a price tag on the experience. This guy's played over, I don't know, 100-something games probably at Wichita State, and then transferred in for us. So we're really excited about him, and just, again, kind of solidifying our lineup a little bit. We're owed offensively, and hopefully that's going to pay some big dividends for us, Ben.
Rotation guys for the weekend, at least a couple of guys that we saw last year that played some pretty big roles. CJ Backer, I would imagine, would be a guy that you'll lean on, who really developed, I think, down the stretch last year. And Cal Steven, who, as a freshman last year, really had a solid year for you. I would imagine that in some role you'll rely on those two guys and others to get some weekend starts, and then in other key roles for you out of the bullpen.
Yep, we are. We're very thankful to have CJ Backer back. I mean, he got pushed into that #1 role last year after a couple of injuries. So, and threw well, beat Michigan here, just dominated them and won some big games for us down the stretch when we were getting into the tournament. So he's going to be a guy that will definitely, be in the weekend rotation somewhere. Having Calvin Shapira back.
Yeah.
He's a guy that was, mostly our Friday night guy 2 years ago, and then got an arm injury last year. Having him back to solidify that maturity part of it is so awesome. And he'll be somewhere in there. Kyle Stevens, another guy that, last year we used primarily out of the bullpen. But this year he's made a lot of progress, and that's what we want to do as freshmen, right? You want to bring those guys in, you want to give them experiences, and then hopefully as a sophomore and a junior, they develop into a weekend type guy. So he's another guy that will probably be thrown on weekends. And Jonathan Blackwell is another guy that transferred in from he's from West Virginia, but from Coastal Carolina. And hopefully we got some guys we can put in there and get some outs.
Yeah.
Looking for Cal to make that second-year jump from a reliever to a top of the rotation type of guy, and he has the greatest upside. I think that's pretty clear of anybody on the current roster.
Right.
Your days as a pitching coach going back to Kentucky, Southeast Missouri, before that, what does it take in year 2 specifically to do that, to become a weekend guy after you just pitched in relief your first year?
Yeah, I think it's really a maturity thing. A lot of times, Ben, coming out of high school, they're not used to throwing that many innings, and so that's kind of how we project them, is to come in and throw them more in a relief role, and then give them an opportunity to be in a weight room for a full year, to be on a long toss program, to be on a throwing program, and then as sophomores they establish themselves, and that's what we're trying to recruit here, and that's how we feel like we can get an opportunity to win a Big Ten championship, is develop those young freshman pitchers and keep them like Kyle.
As Kyle mentioned, Steve Ramirez, the player guest this week, what a boost he gave the team over the last month of the 2022 season as you made it into the Big Ten tournament. To see a guy come back 10 days early from a hamate bone,
Yep.
it felt like sometimes we didn't have the whole catching core together
Right.
at any point in the season. It was odd that way. But you did have one guy at least every point of the way that was able to take the load on it.
Yep.
And for Steve to finish as strong as he did, led the team in batting average in May, the prime month of the season.
Right.
That was such a great story. And as a Purdue grad to come back as a 5th year,
Yep.
you just have to love that experience he gives you behind the plate.
There's no doubt. We're very blessed to have Steve return again. Him and Evan both, making that decision to come back and play for another year. And they got the great world now. They have a very light load in the books, and they have a lot of baseball. So we're very glad to have Steve back. He finished strong last year, and hopefully he can pick up where he left off last year and have a tremendous senior season, another senior season.
Fifth year.
We love
fifth
year.
5th year term.
Yeah.
You've always done such a good job since you've been here, I think, with fan engagement, and we saw it this last weekend with the Fan Fest, the number of people who were here, and then the first pitch dinner, and going back to the fall to the Halloween event you do out at the field. I mean, the fan interest, it seems like, is always ratcheting up in Big Ten baseball, and hopefully baseball across the country. I think that's true. Just how excited are you, even though it's a few weeks off, to be able to get home and hopefully get off to a good start here on the road and get back into Alexander?
No doubt. Kyle, I mean, I just, I love this community. I love the people here. They've welcomed Tina and I, my family, so much and did so much for us. Just the opportunities that we have to bring those kids and those families to the park. And as you know, you were there for the first pitch dinner. It was a sellout. This past weekend, we had to move the times back a little bit just because of practice. And I didn't know how the turnout would be. And then I walked outside and saw the lines. It was unbelievable. And so I think our community's taken in our family, as our players and stuff. And Those are the things I think are important in this journey that we have with these young guys. Winning's going to take care of itself. We tell them all the time that. But boy, if we can give back to the community and be selfless servants here in West Lafayette and Lafayette, I think it's going to make a big difference for them as they go through their life.
Holy Cross this weekend down there in Sugar Land, a school just a little bit west of Boston, out of the Patriot League. What can you tell us about them?
You know, Holy Cross, they are a team that returns a lot of guys, especially on the mound. You're going to see some guys 92, 94, really big time arms, to be honest with you. And offensively, they're going to do a lot like what we do. They like to run and put pressure on guys. They do a really good job, you know, and we'll have to defend the field really well, throw a lot of strikes, and have some timely hitting off their arms. I'm telling you, I was very impressed watching the video of their pitchers and their hitting the last couple of days.
Well, no pressure. Just get off to a good start, like
last year, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Coach, appreciate the time as always, and we'll see you down in Sugar Land.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kyle.
That's Greg Goff, the head baseball coach of the Boilermakers, Bing Turner as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Steve Ramirez, veteran catcher for the Boilermakers. This is This Week in Purdue Baseball. Welcome back to This Week in Purdue Baseball. Kyle with Ben, and happy to welcome in our player guest this week, Steve Ramirez, veteran catcher for the Boilermakers, back for this season, and certainly we're happy to have you. You have to be excited to get the season started.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's been a long time waiting. A bunch of practices, a bunch of off the field work, but we're ready to get started.
Do you like, certainly you like playing at home, but do you like being able to get on the road with the guys a little bit here early in the season, maybe build some chemistry, and hopefully like last year, build some wins also?
Yeah, I feel like these first couple weekends going to be good, especially for the younger guys, get the first game jitters out. And then two, we also get to just grow as a team, see where we're at, see what we need to work on when we get back after this first weekend, and then just go from there.
Your return in mid-April last year and then becoming the full-time starter in May was really a boost that the team needed late in the season. And you played so well. They had that big series at Northwestern, which was really a must-win weekend for Purdue. And then you carried that over into the Big Ten tournament. How did it feel to go out like that, what we thought was your senior year, on a high note, and to come back from injury? And it is good to have you back for the fifth year.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost been a year since I broke my hamate bone, so this first weekend back's definitely going to be different. One less bone in my hand. But, big shout out to Casey, the whole rehab staff and everybody that's down in that Mackey training room for, getting me on the right process, putting me through, the right procedures, the right workouts, just to make that whole rehab process go really smooth. And obviously, I was stuck with one hand for a while. And, it was kind of hard just, figuring out a workout schedule, stuff I could do with my hand, the amount of pressure that I could put on. But, coming back, being able to make an impact right away, it was really good. And the way we finished, I couldn't be happier with it.
That's a very baseball-specific injury that most people don't know a whole lot about, but it usually happens on swings. And obviously Purdue is very blessed to have Casey Core, the longest tenured baseball trainer in the Big Ten. And I think he's been with us since, 2009 or maybe even before that. And so he was obviously a big part of that. But coming back as early as you did, I think it was 10 days ahead of schedule. I mean, that just shows the work that you put in and what it took to do that.
Yeah, I think I ended up coming back. I think I got cleared week 6 from my surgery, and then I ended up playing week 7. So it was definitely a crazy process, just being able to just jump right in. My first start, I think, was at UIC, and then it was just rolling from there, so it was really good.
Your comeback was critical, too, because it felt like last year that of the 3 catchers on the roster that there were very few games that all 3 of you were healthy. There was even a few games where only one of you was healthy, so to get you back came at a great time, and then to have you play well too obviously helped spark the team.
Oh yeah, no, unfortunately what happened to Stadler last year too. So both of us being out, was a big toll. But Pablo was there, pick up the team, just do what he had to do in the moment, and then just coming back and being able to contribute in the way that I was able to was really good.
Yeah.
What do the newcomers among the catchers bring to the table this year, Connor Castanet and Luke Gaffney, to kind of supplement you and Jake?
I just think right away we just build like a good chemistry, just like a good presence behind the plate for the pitchers. I think it's like really just like calming and like the stuff that we could do. Coach Rooney talked a lot about just being verbal when we're out there. Like the more verbal we are, like the more confident we come off. And I just think that the more like we're able to talk to them, like either in between innings, like before their start, which we've all done a pretty good job of, especially Connor, coming in his first year from JUCO. I know my first year out of JUCO was a big switch, transitioning from junior college to D1, and I just think that he's done a really good job too. Banking off of Luke, I think that he does bring a lot to the table too. He's young, he's fresh, great hitter, great defender, and I just think that as the year goes on, he's going to learn a lot. He'll be able to pick up from me, Jake, even Connor, just seeing that we're three older dudes, and then I just think that all of us combined, we bring something really good to the table.
I would imagine that you and Jake Stadler will split some starts just based on pitching matchups, probably offensively.
Yeah.
Just how does that relationship between you guys work out as far as your communication and being able to talk to you about what you're seeing out of pitchers and all of that?
A lot of things that we do, like after bullpens, like, we'll talk to the pitchers either one-on-one, as a group, as a staff, and then depending like on who's catching, obviously, we'll go off of what worked that game, what we can bring to the next game, just like how our game plan can go either, I guess just kind of building off of like what worked, what didn't work, what we see in the base runners, other pitchers' tendencies, and then we even talk to like the pitchers either beforehand, if they did like throw that game, if they didn't throw that game, just see like what was working for them, what pitches didn't work for them, and just like how we could build up their confidence from there.
Speaking of the base runners, Purdue led the Big Ten in stolen bases last year. You go up against that crew of base runners every day in practice. That has to help make you guys better, right? I mean, if you can cut down our base stealers, you're going to have a good chance against a lot of other teams, I would think.
A big part of it comes from pitchers. They're learning as we're going, holding times, and I guess just kind of controlling the whole running game. But it helps, like all the stuff we do like individually with the footwork, the transfers, the throwing, just all that other stuff. It just boosts our confidence, really, just because, we know that if we could throw them out, then we're going to have a lot more success just going into season.
What have you liked about what you have seen out of the staff this year?
Just how much they've grown since day one in the fall. I feel like when they first come in, it's more like an individual-based thing, like how can I prove to the coaches that, I am who I say I am. But as we wrapped up the fall and as like we came into the spring, it was more like forget the individual stats, like forget like what I did in my past. Just if I could go out there, do it like my team needs me to do in that moment, or whether for it's that pitch, that batter, then I feel like that's what made them be in like a good spot. So it's good to see them go from where they went from the fall to how they are in the spring.
You mentioned Coach Rooney, who worked primarily with the catchers his first season. Now he's moved over to the pitching coach role, which was more of his longtime background as a college coach. How have you seen that kind of dynamic change with him and what he expects out of pitchers versus what he asked out of you guys as catchers?
I feel like he just takes the same thing, what he did with the catchers. Obviously, it was more one-on-one based with him last year, but I think he's done a good job just bringing like that aggressive mindset, calm presence. He talks. There was this one thing he said. It was about like being like a duck, and I was like, "What do you mean by that? Being a duck?" But he was just saying like ducks, like when they swim, like their feet are going like fast under the water, but like when they're on top, like you just be smooth. So I think just like a big thing from that is just he's taught like not only the catchers but the pitchers now that like regardless of what's going on, just outside of like baseball, either on the field, off the field, that they just got to focus in on like the present moment and then just go from there. So I think he's done a really good job, having the pitchers like command the ball, having a good presence on the mound, and then too like our whole offense and like game plan builds off around them. So I feel like he's done a good job of just like putting that into their heads to just calm it down, be in the moment, and then just control what they can control.
Holy Cross this weekend sounds like they play a little bit similarly to how you guys play, aggressive on the bases, try to get after it. That'll be a nice test early in the season, right?
Yeah, most definitely. We're excited. We put in a lot of work in practice, and it's just gonna be good to get out there, see the boys play. Somebody other than, us. We
Yeah.
only had those 2 fall games, which went pretty good. But, yeah, it's going to be exciting to get out there, play somebody who's not Purdue, and then just get out there and do what we do.
Yeah.
We close out the player segment with the personal preferences segment. And we're just looking to learn more about you, Steve. So I always say there are no wrong answers.
Yeah.
We just want to find out what you like. So for the first guest of the season, you have a lot of numbers to choose from, between 1 and 34, in fact. So let's hear a number between 1 and 34, and we'll see what you come up with.
I'll go with 22.
Okay, your number. Good pick there. Favorite food or meal?
That's easy. Mexican food.
That would be
Most
my
definitely.
choice as well.
Mexican food. I like cooking it, like eating it. So that's what I'm going to have to go with.
Is there a best cook in the Ramirez family?
I mean,
Oh, no.
I feel like I can't answer that. I feel like if I choose my grandma, my mom gonna be mad. If I choose my mom, like my grandma gonna be. So I say either one of them, my mom
Sure.
or my grandma.
I put you in a bad spot there. But yeah, I feel that the same way in my family. Those two are pretty even. Okay, between 1 and 34, don't pick 22.
All right, let's go with 11.
Current teammate with the best baseball instincts.
You want me to pick like a pitcher or like
You can give us multiple names if you choose.
best?
It's your
instincts?
segment.
I'm gonna go with Evan. Evan, he classy vet.
Yep.
Swaggy in the infield. So I'm gonna go with Evan.
Your fellow fifth year, and good to have him back for another year. And he has been the top vote getter, I think, in that category over the last couple of years. All right, last one. Between 1 and 34, don't pick 11, don't pick 22.
Let's go with 5.
5. Your favorite playoff format or marquee event? So we're talking about, the big game that just happened Sunday, maybe the World Cup, which was in November and December this year for the first time ever. Obviously the Fall Classic.
Yeah.
You got something in mind that maybe might be off the radar a little bit more?
Nah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Super Bowl.
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Who were you pulling for Sunday?
The Eagles, only because the Steelers, they didn't make it.
Yeah, I do know that you have that, even though from California, you have that
Yeah.
Steelers blood in you, and they do have a nationwide fan base.
Yes, sir.
It was a heck of a game, though.
Nah, it was good. It was good all around.
Yes.
It was definitely a fun game to watch.
Steve, best of luck this weekend and all season long. We do appreciate your time.
Sir, thank you. Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for the first week here of the season. It should be an exciting one. We'll be here every week as we get you prepared for the Boilermakers following weekend. All right, that'll do it for this week. For Ben Turner, Steve Ramirez, and Greg Goff earlier, I'm Kyle Charters. Thanks for watching. This is This Week in Purdue Baseball.